So, background. So the content from this presentation is based on the information available from FIGU Spirit's books and also partially from Spirit Lessons 105 to 106, available from FIGU by Billy, which covers the more advanced application of the meditation. The both courses are Introduction to the Meditation, Meditation as class 6, so that hasn't been translated yet. It's meditation from Clear Sight, but I think it's going to be available sometime soon because someone is translating it. It's just a bit from rebirth, life, dying, death, and sorrow. And this one is also, we're working on it right now. So it'll be available maybe sometime next year, hopefully. It's also from Photo Inventorium and from about the fluid energies, respectively, fluid powers, and other things. And as the theme of meditation is very extensive, it's only possible to provide an overview in this presentation. So for a more in-depth explanation of the various topics mentioned, please refer to the aforementioned books. So, caution. Meditation can have many great benefits, but in order to prevent harm, there are important general guidelines to follow. There are many dangers in wrong meditative practices. For example, wishful thinking and unreal self-suggestions that can lead to delusions, etc. A lot of what is taught today by charlatans, gurus, etc., such as allogenic methods, mantras, transcendental methods, etc., can lead to euphoric states and consciousness injuries. It is necessary to practice and advance in meditation naturally, whereby learning steps are necessary and cannot be skipped. Otherwise, it can lead to euphoric states, consciousness injuries, personality injuries, etc. So today's presentation purpose is to provide a better understanding of the meditation practice and the various functions and goals associated with it. Topics will also include the more advanced practice and application of meditation in order to provide clarification in these areas. Today's presentation will be presented in two main parts. So the first part will be the conceptual. This will give an overview of how and why meditation can function, and also a general guideline direction of what to expect, which will be necessary for the practice. And then the second part is the practical, the actual implementation and application of the meditation practice and the carrying forward into the daily life. Okay. So why meditate? Because you can recognition of the reality and the truth, leading to clarity of consciousness and logical neutral thinking and decisions, etc. Increase equalizeness, inner peace, freedom, and harmony in consciousness and psyche, and thus positively influencing the thinking, feeling, physical body, immune system, etc., and creating joyfulness, better moods, etc. Increase available mental energy for our day-to-day life and activities. Daily challenges, tasks, work, etc. become easier and easier. Increase attention, concentration, ability to observe ability to recognize, ability to ascertain, ability to make decisions, etc. To learn inner calmness and self-control. So basically, in control of one's own thoughts rather than being controlled by these. To promote the evolution of our consciousness and our spirit form, from which the environment and fellow human beings can also gain benefits. And then in advanced meditative practice, access to consciousness-based abilities such as telepathy, telekinesis, consciousness wanderings into different places and times, levitation, utilization of spirit energy, etc., and more. So just to give a background, so this one is about incarnation, the reincarnation. So we have the death world on that side, and we have this world, our world. And on the 21st day after procreation, we have the consciousness block, which is material consciousness and material subconsciousness and personality and psyche and so on. And then this incarnates into the human, and as well the spirit form, now called creation energy, reincarnates into the superior colliculus. So contrary to what is known today, the human being is neither a product of pure material evolution nor created by a personified God being, but instead was created for the purpose of evolution by the creation universal consciousness. The material consciousness and subconsciousness are a part of the consciousness block that gets incarnated into the human being, along with the spirit form, which reincarnates on the 21st day after conception when the heart starts to beat. The material consciousness and material subconsciousness are creation of the spirit form via the overall consciousness block, which is not shown here, but it's another block, consciousness block, block of energy, basically. And the material consciousness, subconsciousness basically come pre-equipped with the potential ability to meditate, which only needs to be activated by the human being through their own striving and will. So for this, no expensive courses, gurus, masters, priests, monks, belief in God, etc. are required, but only the human being, him or herself, and her motivation, striving, and will. So as a creation of the universal consciousness, the human being is given the potential to be able to fulfill anything she desires within the material universe. Through meditation, this potential is increased and the human being learns to live in accordance with the reality and truth. So journey in creation. So we have the inner journey through meditation, and we have the magic school bus here. So it's kind of like watching the show, I guess. So this is inner journey, and then we also have in the middle of our deepest in our consciousness is the spirit form, the creation energy. And we also have the outer journey, which is the journey in the material belt, so in our material universe. So as you can see, this is also the creation universal consciousness. So as we live within the creational universal consciousness in the material belt and also have a part piece of this universal consciousness deep within ourselves, the spirit form, we can explore and get in touch with the creational and come to understanding of the reality and the truth through either the internal journey, through meditation, or the understanding of things of the world and our universe through our external senses and experiences exploring and researching in the material about. For example, observing nature and traveling through space, etc. Through meditation, ultimately we come into contact with our most inner self and the spirit form, whereby the creational reality becomes more and more apparent. And we come to the profound realization that we are basically one with everything and are in oneness with the creational, because the creational energy, the spirit form, is constantly in swaying wave contact with the creational universal consciousness. Okay. So today we're gonna go into take the inner journey to show what happens there. So we have components, material consciousness, which is the factor in a human being through which the perceptions, thinking processes, decisions, considerations, ideas, etc. are created. And we have the material subconsciousness, which is the hidden consciousness. It's like a secret computer, and it will be explained in upcoming slides. And we have this the spirit form, aka creation energy with constituent parts, spirit subconsciousness, spirit consciousness, etc. And this will also be explained in upcoming slides. So this representation here is just example. It doesn't actually look like this, but these are basically just energy, compact energy, I guess. And the spirit form is actually a lot smaller than this. Like apparently it's, if the spirit form, you can't actually localize it, but if you were gonna visualize it, it's, according to Billy, it's like small as the tip of a needle pin. So it's really small. So as we journey into our consciousness, there are obstacles. So during our meditation, so that there's lack of self-discipline, keeping to the practice, impatience, thinking not progressing fast enough, affected by internal and external influences, thoughts, environmental influences, etc. And also the willfulness to want to meditate, whereby the will is only necessary at the beginning to start the meditation. There's egoism. So ego does not want to let go of its narrow view and go into selfless, neutral observation. Lack of seriousness, intensity, and effort during practice. Life-acquired bad habits or traumatic experiences which inhibit a meditative concentration. There's also too many daily distractions, worries about the daily life. And there's also the natural struggle between the powers of negative and positive within oneself with fellow human beings, so opposing powers. So basically, the natural struggle is like something that's necessary. Basically there's the powers of the positive and the negative. So there's the powers of the truth that want to progress, and powers of untruth that exist within ourselves and in fellow human beings, which constantly make the meditation practice difficult. So for example, not wanting to adhere to the practice or getting distracted, etc. These are the natural powers which give the human being the necessary opposing power in order for them to evolve. So the positive power, truth, harmony, for example, truth, harmony, love, freedom, peace, etc., is constantly in a struggle with the negative power. So untruth, disharmony, hatred, unfreedom, unpeace, etc. So since meditation, like life, is an evolutive journey through the struggles between the negative and positive powers that create progress. It is also inevitable that only through these obstacles can our meditation lead to true progress and success. And the other obstacle is basically meditation is an act of freeing oneself from the self-centeredness and having trust and confidence in the creation of oneself and letting the meditation run its own course. There are always resistances that one meets before being able to reach a true meditative concentration. This resistance is different for each individual and is shaped according to his or her inner nature. For example, some human beings find the most resistance in yielding their material consciousness, which is based on doubt, hesitancy, self-centeredness, and egoism. Some human beings find the most resistance from their emotional side. For example, impatience, greed, temper, restlessness, stubbornness, anger, etc. And the obstacles can be resolved by neutrally observing and recognizing what is inhibiting a true meditative concentration. It can be a mishappening that occurred in the childhood, a feeling of self-defeat, etc. Okay, so this is a progression timeline. It's just to give an overview of what to expect. So this is based on the guidance there. So this is on average for Earth human beings. So from the first meditation, it can take a lot hours, days, or months to years to learn ability to turn off foreign thoughts during meditation. The foreign thoughts will be explained more clearly later, but it's basically something that makes the meditation difficult. And also in hours, if you practice regularly for hours, days, or months, then you also get equalizedness in daily life, better concentration, increased ability to learn and grasp new things, more energy, better coping with daily situations, etc. And it takes about, on average, 4 years to achieve a meditation concentration daily with 15-minute practice and 60-minute extra once per week. And by the 4th year, that's an average. The first success is learning of meditative concentration to a sufficient degree and sign up for success. So emergence of dreamlike real pictures that can be deciphered more clear than regular dream pictures, can be visions of the current, past, future events, etc. This will also be explained a bit more later. And then by the 7th year, on average, learn meditation in fullness and decisive and valuable transformation of the human being through resolving errors. Best case 7 to 8 years, but also can take very much longer. And then beyond that decades of practice, in very, very rare cases, they learn the high and highest meditative concentration, which gives them access to consciousness abilities like telepathy, telekinesis, etherokinesis, consciousness wanderings, etc. Okay, so etheric consciousness is the human will and pilot, and etheric subconsciousness, the command center. And meditative consciousness basically is our waking consciousness, right? So we're always making thoughts or making observations. And so there's actually something called a sensor, which only lets certain things through. For example, a thought or observation with sufficient concentration, it prevents damage arising ideas, etc. And the material subconsciousness is basically, it's like a secret computer program inside the human consciousness. It carries out unconscious functions like contacting the storage banks to store, retrieve information, regulating body functions, etc. Transfers information from into the spirit subconsciousness, connects with other subconsciousness for exchange of information, receives and processes the commands from the material consciousness, provides information impulses to the material consciousness when necessary. For example, intuition, information for storage banks, inspirations, etc. And it also contains most important information from previous lives. And now the spirit form. This is a part piece of the creation universal consciousness and it's in direct contact with it. Reincarnates into new human body after the current body passes away until it does not need a material body anymore. It stores and contains essence of all recognitions, knowledge, truth, wisdom, logic, and ability accumulated from previous lives. It transfers information impulse from and to the material subconsciousness when necessary. Receives and converts the electromagnetic life energy into usable form for the consciousness block in the human body. It can utilize spirit energy to carry out spirit telepathy, spirit wanderings, spirit teleportation, etc., or transfer spirit energy to the material subconsciousness. It's also undying and cannot be harmed or affected in any wise. So, meditation inner process. So this is just to basically give a sense of what happens within ourselves during meditation. So we have the material consciousness, and it's making a neutral thought, or it's called a it is so thought or observation. So it is so just means you don't think it will happen or it can happen. You just think it is happening, basically. So that it will also be explained later. And there's a sensor, which was explained before, which only lets certain things through. So if there's a high enough concentration, this goes into the subconsciousness. And then the subconsciousness receives and processes the thought or observation from the material consciousness. And it can refer to information from storage banks or communicate the subconsciousness of other human beings, etc., if necessary. And also, it communicates with the spirit counterparts if necessary. So when someone is thinking of something that is spiritual oriented, and that means basically something to do with the truth, logic, reason, the universe, or creation, whatever. And so once it gets information, it then sends the impulse back via the central consciousness to the subconsciousness. And once it gets it from spirit form, it sends it back to the material consciousness. So it sends the result impulse to the material consciousness. And it's basically what we typically describe as a sudden idea or intuition, like a aha. Like that's what's happening, or eureka, when someone discovers something. So this occurs when a human being is relaxed and receptive to intuitions during the meditation. And just to give an idea, so because usually people wonder how these things work. So the thing is, if you have with a high meditative concentration, that takes decades of practice. So it directly uses the consciousness energies to carry out abilities such as telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, consciousness, wandering, etc. So it's basically the might of the thought. It's just the thought content. In neutral, it is so thought idea with it's called a high meditative concentration, which will be explained later as well. So the communication between the material consciousness and subconsciousness, they actually occurs in our daily life as well, but only unconsciously and very sporadically. So for example, when someone very intensely occupies him or herself with something important for them in a concentrated form. Through meditation, however, this communication occurs very deliberately in a controlled manner, through which the human being learns to be in greater control of his or her life and makes very much greater progress. So in this picture here, there is also the psyche and gemute, which come into play, but for simplicity, these have been left out. So basically, the psyche also benefits from the impulse. Psyche is part of the material, connected to the material consciousness, and so it also benefits from impulses from the spirit counterpart, the gemute, and it's also influenced favorably during the meditation by corresponding harmonious thoughts, impulses, etc. So it's going to go back to this one here. So the very the thing is with the way our world is oriented right now, like there's a lot of materialistic thinking or religions. The communication between the material subconsciousness and the spirit subconsciousness is actually not happening very much, because people are often only very directed towards their material life, like their work life, daily life. They don't have time to think about the more, I guess, spiritual oriented, what's really happening, what's the sense of life, and so on. So then this communication hardly happens, and as a result, the human being stagnates in their evolution. So that's part of the reason why meditation is so important as well. It reestablishes this connection here. Okay, so and just for conceptual to know what's happening, spirit telepathy, spirit consciousness wanderings, etc. And I think I'm going past the time. Is that okay with everybody? It's 6 o'clock now. Okay. So material consciousness sends a neutral abyssal thought energy intended for the spirit form. With high concentration or meditative concentration, it goes into the material subconsciousness, and then the material subconsciousness transforms the thought energy and forwards it into the spirit subconsciousness. And the spirit subconsciousness then receives the transformed energy from the spirit subconsciousness and draws energy from the spirit form to carry out the corresponding objective. So spirit telepathy, spirit consciousness wanderings, utilization of spirit energy, etc. But what's happening here can only happen with very, very highly evolved people. So it's actually very rare because of the way our world is oriented right now with materialistic and religious influences. So this is something in a very far future, I guess. But just to give an idea of what happens here. Okay. And through meditation, basically we have material consciousness, which works up to the speed of light, which is about 300,000 kilometers per second. We have the material subconsciousness, which works up to 147 times the speed of light. And the spheric subconsciousness, or spirit form, which works up to 10 times 7,000 exponential times the speed of light. So that's extremely quick. And through meditation, we basically strengthen those inner communication links between the material consciousness, material subconsciousness, and spirit subconsciousness, and whereby the human being's capabilities are increased in many areas of life. So for example, ability to concentrate, working out problems, coping with life situations, setting, carrying out objectives, etc. And as well, through meditation, so we have our left brain, which is analytical and matter oriented, and our right brain, which is symbolic and non-rational. Basically, through meditation, the left brain hemisphere and the right brain hemisphere, they become more and more synchronized. And as a result, a human being becomes more equalized, peaceful, harmonious, loving, creative, etc. And the equalized and synchronized state of the two brain hemispheres is actually the human being's original state. And it's only because of the strain from the reality, truth, and creation laws and recommendations that the human being has become unequalized and disharmonious, for example, or etc. And through meditation, this equalizedness and synchronization can be restored. And this is also just to give a sense of what happened. So the human being has brain waves, right? So these days we can measure with electrodes what's happening in the brain. So in our normal waking state, these are called the beta waves. It ranges from 13 to 30 hertz. When the brain is in this state, basically it is oriented towards the external material world and not creative, not receptive to intuitions, inspirations, etc. There's the alpha waves, which is 8 to 12 hertz. And this is the relaxed state and is achievable through simple positive meditation. For example, word repetition meditation. And from this state, you get energy gain, joy, equalizedness, love, inner harmony, inner freedom. And there's the theta waves. So this happens when the human being is in a deep meditative state. Is receptive to intuitions, inspirations, creativeness, etc. In the daily life, these waves appear just before or after sleep. And then there's the delta waves, which is hypnosis, deep trance, deep sleep, and it's the most relatively perfect equalizedness achievable. And then beyond that, there's the gamma waves, which is 31 to 100 hertz, 100 plus, so it goes into the hundreds or 200s. It's the deepest meditative state, And in this state, basically the human being directly utilizes the consciousness energies for abilities like levitation, telekinesis, etc. And they also have the ability to reduce the energy usage of the material body, whereby the brain is put into rest state and a sense of space and time in the eye are nullified. And this is referred to in the the creation energy teaching as being one with everything, or oneness with the creational. Okay, so now this is the actual practice part. I hope what has been said makes sense so far. I was hoping we could talk about it, but I guess there's not much time. So now it's a meditation practice. This is a symbol for meditation from the creation energy teaching symbol. So just to give a sense, there's a lot of meditation exercises. So there's breathing meditation. So basically observe one's own breath, on breathing. This is one of the easiest and best methods. It's best to breathe naturally without deliberately controlling the breathing. There's also the repetition of a word or phrase. For example, love, peace, harmony, freedom, Tantra, Om, peace meditation, etc. in a low voice, whisper, silently in thought, or by visualizing the word or phrase. There's also simple concentration exercises. So observing a candle flame, a light source, a faraway distance, your heartbeat, or your pulse, etc. And then there's also the walking meditation, meditation in motion. So the walking meditation is basically you just observe your walking. You can either count your steps, or you can like name your steps, basically when you step down or you step up, and so on. And for that, it's actually recommended to find a place where you can do that exercise without being disturbed or observed by others. So for example, in an empty park. And there's also the meditation in motion, which is actually traced back to Nicodemus' teaching. It's basically what is today kind of known as, Tai Chi Gong, when people are in the park and they're doing those motions. But that sort of has been changed and not the same as what it was originally from Nicodemus. There's also the saying meditation, music meditation, relaxing meditation, body process regulating meditation, so regulating body temperature, pulse, etc. And basically the same meditation or music meditation is practiced by saying or listening to a song, music, melody, etc. And simply observing and directing attention to it. Harmonious music is of benefit. It brings peace, harmony, joy, love, etc. Whereas disharmonious music brings hatred, discord, harm, etc. The same meditation and music meditation is often also used by religions to keep their believers bound to them. And then there's also the short meditations during any time of the day by thoughtlessly observing the daily life activities, work, situations, etc. So this one is pretty useful, I guess, for our time, because people are usually very strained, I guess, during their work or whatever. So basically just for a couple of minutes, you just thoughtlessly observe something. And that way it's just kind of like a meditation in itself. And then there's also just simply observing and analyzing one's own thoughts and feelings, and many more. So for those who are interested in meditation, it's actually important to know that there are meditation exercises which are often taught by self-proclaimed gurus, masters, etc., who interfere in the interest of the meditator and deliberately tell the meditators how to think and how to feel during the meditation exercise. These type of meditations are actually not beneficial, as they lead to unreal self-suggestions, euphoria, and a dependency on those who teach this type of meditation. So there is no such thing as a so-called enlightenment or being one with God, as taught in the religious sense. The true meditative exercises that bring benefit are all simple and only require a concentration by one's own free will, through which many possibilities gradually become opened for the meditator. Okay, so time, place, position, and body position. So meditation is actually suitable for all people, even for children as young as 2 years old, which is taught by parents or guardians. Meditation is only not recommended if it is not beneficial. For example, in some rare cases of irreparable mental illness, etc. So the thing is, if a child has learned to meditate from a young age, then meditation becomes natural to him or her, whereby it will have a very beneficial effect on his or her life in all respects. Basically, in the advanced civilizations like the ancient peoples of Nocadamian, it is actually a duty of the parents to teach their children meditation at a young age because of the significance and benefits it has for the child and society. And according to necessity, meditation can be carried out anytime at any place one desires. Except for the walking or meditation in motion, etc. Meditation can be carried out in any body position that the meditator feels comfortable with. For best results, the lotus or half lotus position, because of the stability it provides, is most favorable for a deeper meditative immersion, however not essential. And for those who want to advance deeper and learn about meditative concentration, meditation schedule is recommended. So for example, 15 minutes per day, 15 minutes per day before sleeping, and 60 minutes once per week in a well-suited place with maximum shielding from external influences, which will be explained in the next few slides. And things, if someone meditates before sleeping, then the meditation effect actually carries through into the sleep for some time in the half sleep, which helps to promote the meditation practice. And so in the next few slides, this presentation will be focusing on the scheduled and advanced practice of meditation, which can be progressed better with certain conditioned environments. So this stuff is actually all available from introduction from the meditation as well. So it's just simple conditions that make the meditation work better. So removal of clothing during meditation, because clothing that have been worn for a long period of time collects a lot of mental fluid energies, and as a result creates inhibiting armor which prevents certain energy exchanges between the body and the outside, which is the cosmic electromagnetic life energy, which is important for the consciousness and bodily functions. For this reason, it's advisable to remove clothing and put them outside of the meditation area during meditation exercises. And also jewelry if these are not made of precious stones and precious metals. So on the one hand, the cosmic electromagnetic life energy can get in, and also the body fluid energies can get out with full power. And drugs, alcohol, and food. So as the consciousness needs to be able to concentrate during the meditation, drugs, hallucinogens, and alcohol, which can impair the consciousness, should not be consumed for the meditation. And in addition, it is necessary to refrain from eating 2 hours before the meditation practice, as it can have a disturbing effect during the meditation practice. There's also the Earth's magnetic field and incense. So when someone is meditating in a lying down position, there's the Earth's magnetic field, which goes from the south to the north. So due to the magnetic field generated by the Earth, for meditation in the lying position, it is necessary to orientate the head towards the north and the foot towards the south. This ensures that the magnetic fields can stream through the body without causing disturbances to the meditation. And it is also beneficial to burn incense during the meditation, as it has a soothing effect on the central nervous system of the human being. And so external influences. So this person is trying to meditate, but in the daily life, they are the most diverse energies, mental swing waves from billions of human beings. These are created by the human being's thinking, which radiate as electromagnetic waves and can have an influence on other human beings for the good or for the bad. So these energies can make learning the meditation practice difficult at the beginning. For example, difficult to concentrate and to turn off foreign thoughts. Although after enough meditative practice, these influences become more and more manageable. So shooting from external influences during meditation. So what's this basically a building? You try to build a big pyramid. There are specific dimensions to this, which is probably available from FIGU if you ask for it, I guess. And this is what was mentioned in the introduction to the meditation, like a big meditation pyramid. Basically, you align one of the corners to the magnetic north, and you somehow you can get into the pyramid, and you put a bed, which is about 1/3 height from base, and you meditate in there. And basically, this blocks out all the electromagnetic swing waves at certain wavelengths. So for example, the human material consciousness energies. And also, if there's no big pyramid, because it's actually hard to build, you need a lot of copper. The small pyramid also helps to some extent. So you put it on a little block and you align one of the corners to the magnetic north. And then meditate, and about 0.5 meters to 2 meters away from the crown of the small travel pyramid, and it aligns with the forehead. And because of the pyramid's effect, it can be used as a help means for meditation. It basically strengthens the mental fluid powers of the meditator, whereby the fluid powers act as a personal protection field so that the external influences can't affect the meditation as much. So this is the same pyramid that people use during the peace meditation, basically. Okay. So foreign thoughts. So anyone who tries to meditate from the beginning, they'll always know that when they try to meditate, so they try to concentrate on one thing, harmony, try to concentrate on it, harmony, harmony. But all of a sudden, you get a thought that's not associated with meditation. So in the course of learning meditation, it is almost inevitable at the beginning that foreign thoughts come up during the exercises. And these are called foreign thoughts because they are foreign to or not associated with a meditation exercise. So about foreign thoughts are the meditator's own thoughts. Through our everyday life activities, we take in and are filled with the most diverse multitude of impressions, through which corresponding thoughts are created in our thought world. Along with the foreign thought, a corresponding foreign feeling is also created, which is also not associated with the meditation. In order to maintain a concentration during the meditation practice, it is necessary to turn off these foreign thoughts by gently and determinedly directing attention back to the meditation object each time foreign thoughts and foreign feelings surface become registered. Over time, these foreign thoughts and foreign feelings lessen in frequency, whereby slowly but surely these disappear altogether during meditation exercises. So this is an example. A person trying to meditate and they are trying to concentrate on something like harmony and harmony, and all of a sudden there's a foreign thought. So they basically were just like not direct attention to it, just go back to the meditation object again. So harmony, 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 and it becomes up again. You just basically go back to the harmony, 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 harmony. Keep going, and of course the foreign thoughts always come up again and again, and so you just keep going back to the meditation object, harmony, harmony, and harmony, and again. So you just keep going, ignore it. Harmony, and suddenly sometimes people have a daydream as well. So it's a series of thoughts and they lose the train of what was happening before, and they until maybe 1 minute or two later they realize that they were daydreaming. So you also, once you realize it, you just go back to the harmony. You just keep basically directing attention back to the meditation object, and with enough practice, the foreign thoughts just disappear altogether. So, and here's an example of concentration during meditation. So as opposed to driving, you have the day-to-day regular concentration where it's often strenuous and energy draining. And there's the versus the meditation concentration, where you just direct your attention to just one thing. And it happens in a relaxed way, and it's you basically recoup your energy. So for example, usually people are thinking about a lot of different things. So meditation concentration means you just concentrate on one thing. It can be anything. So but in this example, it's just harmony. Harmony. Oh, sorry, I went too quickly there. So harmony, harmony until all the other things, they basically slowly come out of focus until the only thing the person is directly paying attention to is just the meditation object. So, and keep directing attention to it until if you're doing the right way, your body actually starts to also come out of focus. So eventually body is not pay attention to either, and so you feel like your hands, your body, your feet, your whole body is not there, like you don't feel it. So that's the meditation, and hopefully that makes sense. So there's many possibilities of meditation. There's the simply relaxing and recouping energy away from the day-to-day hecticness, whereby the physical body, consciousness, and psyche become favorably influenced. You have the observation of an object and recognizing the truth about it. So an object can be anything in this universe, including oneself, others, consciousness, thoughts, feelings, past experiences, our inevitable death, etc. Or you can simply repeat a phrase such as, I live in love, I live in peace, I live in harmony, I live in freedom. Om or peace meditation, etc., which have beneficial effects on the meditator and the surroundings. Or you can just get in touch with the inner self, the consciousness, subconsciousness, psyche, and the innermost self is performed through meditative immersion. In advanced practice, with a sufficient mastery of meditative concentration, setting objectives via the material subconsciousness, and in advanced practice, in very rare cases, through a high or highest meditative concentration, directly utilizing the energies of the consciousness and performing consciousness-based abilities, etc. So just to give an idea, so pure observation and clear recognition is basically seeing the reality as it really is. So you're a person meditating, and so they're thinking of past experience or whatever, and they don't know what that thing was. Maybe it's a shark, whatever, and through meditation, so you basically observe it and see it for what it really was. So it's just a rock, for example. So this is actually a very valuable and beneficial aspect of meditation. Assists the meditator in recognizing the reality, can help the meditator free him or herself from any hindrances and obstacles, mishappening in childhood, bad life habits, bad religious influences, etc. In addition, it is very useful for all types of activities in the day-to-day life as well, where a thorough investigation of the facts are necessary before making a well thought out decision. etc. So basically, the thing that is being observed can be anything in the universe. It can be human being, him or herself, other human beings, past experiences, inner consciousness processes, thoughts, feelings, and also our inevitable death as well. Okay. So there's also thought forms during the meditation. So contrary to the foreign thoughts, which surface spontaneously during the meditation, there are also various thought forms which are possible to create deliberately during the meditation. So for example, there's the wishful thoughts. For example, I'm getting better and better. I must do something, or I will do something, etc. And these actually belong to a false thought form and is similar to an autogenic self-suggestive meditation. This is very dangerous and not recommended, as it can lead to euphoric states. In the worst case, damages to the consciousness and personality can arise. So this is basically what a lot of the new age people are teaching these days, and that's why people end up thinking they're getting better or solving a problem, but really they haven't. Actually, they're just euphoric states and self-suggestive, because they think they're actually I am getting better and better, which doesn't make sense to the subconsciousness. And then there's also the negative thoughts, which is hatred, envy, greed, etc. These are often practiced consciously or unconsciously by religions, cults, etc., for the purpose of causing harm to others, affliction, wars, etc. And these are also not recommended during the meditation, as it leads to harm. And there's the neutral thoughts. So this is the right type of thought to have during meditation, which is I live in love. For example, I live in love, I live in peace, I live in harmony, I live in freedom, or peace meditation, because these are in the form of it is so. So it is actually happening. It's not it will happen or it can happen. And so like in the daily life, these neutral thought forms and corresponding feelings are of lasting benefit for the meditator and environment. And in the meditation from clear sight, there's a lot more examples of these type of phrases if one is looking for it. And it's also possible for a person to make up their own phrase if they like. So meditative concentration. So this is with sufficient practice of the meditation and a concentration that is clear of foreign thoughts. The meditator then slowly enters a meditative concentration with the following indications. So within that practice, basically, the meditator feels like they're entering a different strange realm. And this happens without having any thoughts, basically. It's just when you keep observing the meditative object, your consciousness just, because everything else is out of focus, you're suddenly directed inwardly. So this is the feeling of entering a different strange realm. And it feels very, once you get, or if you have felt it before, you know that it's there without any suggestive state or whatever. So it just happens basically. And then there's also the feeling of bodilessness as described, because everything else is out of focus. Only the meditative concentration object is in your attention, so everything else is nothing. And as a result, your body also becomes out of focus. And because of that, directing inwardly, you also get defined spiritual perceptions coming to the foreground, and that comes from the spirit counterparts. There's also the appearance of light. Intensity ranges from a small point to the sun up to the brightest so hard, depending on evolution state. So the meditation concentration opens up many possibilities to the meditator. However, it is no easy task to learn and requires a lot of effort. With further practice, meditative concentration can be reached more easily within a short time and also held longer and longer, whereby the dreamlike real pictures that are clearer than regular dream pictures can appear, which can be deciphered and logically pieced together in sequence. These can depict events of the past, present, or future. Basically, these are information coming from your subconsciousness. And it's also described in the introduction to the meditation. So this is another use of the meditation. You can set objectives during the meditative concentration. So with sufficient mastery of the meditation and meditative concentration, the meditator can learn to set objectives consciously during the meditation. The prerequisite for this, however, is that the human being needs to be sufficiently equalized and neutral, respectively neutral positive in his or her thinking and living according to logic, reality, and truth. The objective setting occurs with the meditative concentration via the subconsciousness. The objective needs to be aligned with reality and the personality of the meditator. The objective also should not be purely materially oriented, for example, to gain money, but instead it needs to be aligned with the evolution, whereby material progress is something that comes hand in hand with the evolution. And for a main objective, there are always beside objectives that need to be accomplished first before being able to accomplish the main objective. Some objectives will require the human being to be sufficiently peaceful, loving, and harmonious, and connected with the reality, etc. And just to give an example of what happens during the objective setting via meditative concentration. So for example, you have a person trying to meditate and they have an objective they want to get to. And they have a starting point. And there's also a lot of side objectives. So it can be something to be achieved or a deserving factor to be resolved. And so they go into the meditation. This one's the breathing meditation. So they're observing their breathing. And just an example, they reach a meditative concentration and they basically in neutral idisal form, thought form, they visualize the objective. And once they've done that, suddenly they could get a impulse from the subconsciousness. So this is like intuition or a sudden idea of what needs to be done beforehand. And this is a cycle. So the person realizes that and goes there, finishes that task, or if it's a discerning factor, they resolve it or whatever. And so once resolve it, they go back to the meditation and they again set that main goal, which then again another impulse for something else that needs to be done. And so the process continues. Just keeps going again. Intuition should do this and go again and intuition, and so basically this is in short form. Really what happens, this perhaps happens in many days, many months, or many years. So intuition, go the objective, and you get intuition again. And intuition until they reach the main objective. So I was just playing the scares to hope to give a example of what it's like, I guess, the objective setting. And next slide. High and highest meditative concentration. So through the continued practice over many decades with enough motivation, intensity, and dedication, the high and highest meditative concentration can be learned. Only in very rare cases are these high and highest meditative concentration achieved. Through further practice, it becomes easier and easier to reach the high and highest meditative concentration up to the point that it can be caught up in a very short time. With the high and highest meditative concentration, the meditator can directly use the consciousness energies to perform things which are normally not possible. For example, consciousness-based abilities such as telepathy, telekinesis, invulnerability, levitation, teleportation, utilization of spirit energy, etc. Undreamt of things can be perceived and experienced which go beyond the normal material experiences. In the creation energy teaching, it is also referred to as a state of universal wisdom, being one with everything, or oneness with the creational. And just to give examples of this highest meditative concentration. So for example, Billy shot a postage stamp for a distance of 206 meters after consuming half liter of rum with 42% alcohol content. The shot occurred in the night on the 21st of September 1978 around 11:45 p.m. in the spotlight of a flashlight and in the presence of witnesses Jacobus, Bertschinger, Herbert, Runkel, Billy's ex-wife, Calliope Meyer, and Engelbert Brechte in Cedar Lake, I'm not sure where that is, TG. And so the demonstration of the consciousness abilities serve to show to those willing to meditate the endless possibilities of meditation. And even though these abilities are very intriguing and often sought by many people who want to learn these, the meditation's first goal should not be to attain these type of abilities because for the day-to-day life, these abilities do not find much application. I guess unless you're a prophet and are often getting shot at. So it is much more useful and beneficial for oneself, the fellow human beings, and the environment to first attain the recognition of truth, equalizeness, inner harmony, inner freedom, inner peace through the corresponding normal meditation practices. But nevertheless, these consciousness power abilities performed through the high and highest meditative concentration opens our eyes to what is possible through meditation and also helps us to show us that there is actually more to the reality and life than we know from our materialistic worldview on earth. And an example, so Billy and New Year's Eve, 1977, he bent and broke spoons through consciousness powers. And also by Billy and New Year's Eve, 1977, then to burn 2 francs Swiss coin through consciousness hours. So the explanation is, as all matter in our universe is actually comprised of energies and swing waves, they can be directly influenced by the consciousness energies, or also by artificially generated electromagnetic swing waves via technology. And in the case of the bent metal spoons and coin, this occurs through material consciousness swing waves or thought energies that alter the molecular state of the metal and make it soft. Metal is a material that is more easy to alter molecularly by consciousness swing waves. For the utilization of these type of abilities, the material consciousness creates the corresponding thought via a high meditative concentration, whereby the necessary swing waves and frequencies are generated automatically. The different types of consciousness abilities, such as telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, etc., each have their own unique swing wave energies and frequencies. And another one, this example is from meditation from clear sight. I put in here because I thought it would be interesting for people. So the thing is mentioned in the book, Meditation from Clear Sight, Meditation aus klarer Sicht, by Billy is a monk named Chambo Lama Itikilo, or Dashi Dasho Itikilo, who mummified his own body via the mummification meditation shortly before his death in 1927. And his body has been preserved up to this day. So here's some pictures of the body. So it's been, I guess, almost 100 years. Here's some more. And then the explanation from the book is, up to today, there is only one single case of the mummification meditation known on the earth. Indeed, with regard to the Buddhist monk Chomp Lama Itikilo. His story began in the year 1927 in the Buddhist Ivolginsk monastery in Siberia. Shortly before he began his mummification meditation, he wrote in his bequest that after 30 years, the monk should again retrieve his body from the grave. A short time after, he sat himself upright in a lotus position and carried out his mummification meditation, during which he then died, after which he was then buried in his grave. Decades later, Buddhist priests retrieved him from his grave as he had directed in his bequest. His body was nearly intact. And for my research on the internet, apparently medical tests were also done on his body, and basically his body had the same state as the body which had only passed away for 36 hours. So it was as if his body he only passed away for 36 hours, and his brain and internal organs were still intact. And apparently his skin cells still showed signs of life. Okay, guess I just have two more slides. So most important factors for progress: work, meditation, study, and evolution. And from Billy, meditation is simple to practice, yet again so hard to carry through step by step, day by day. And without effort, no prize.